In the high hills of south-central France, autumn winds sweep through Chambon-sur-Lignon, a Protestant village shrouded in morning mist and the scent of burning pine. In 1940, the world beyond these mountains is rapidly collapsing. France has fallen, the Vichy regime pledges loyalty to Hitler, and slow dread settles into every village on the plateau. Yet, as Nazi roundups begin in the cities, Pastor André Trocmier's congregation gathers in the stone church, sunlight through stained glass warming their faces while outside the temperature hovers near freezing. There is no category for us but one. Trocmier preaches softly. We are all children of God. When they come for the Jews, they come for us. Early each morning, farmers drive wagons of turnips down muddy lanes, but on the return, they bring something more precious, lean, frightened Jewish children smuggled from train stations in Lyon and Marseille, faces pinched with hunger and fear. Magda Trocmier, the pastor's wife, stands by their wooden table clipping ration coupons for bread, setting bowls of soup beside trembling hands. A Parisian girl with a suitcase no bigger than her school bag stares in silence, too exhausted to speak. You are safe here, Magda promises, her voice unwavering. Each new child given a new name, a new story. At night, messages travel in code. 3 knocks on it would shudder mean refugees need shelter. A blue kerchief on a garden gate signals a safe house. In kitchens with rough stone walls, villagers copy false baptismal certificates by candlelight, practicing unfamiliar German names. In one attic, a schoolteacher reviews a student list. Jacob becomes Jean, Miriam becomes Marie. Dates of birth shifted just enough to pass a future inspection. The village doctor, Henri Durand, makes house calls in the rain, medicine bag weighted with more forged ration cards than vials. The secret to survival lies in the mundane. Each life saved not through heroics, but 100 perfect, silent details. Fear infects every routine. German officers pass through on the main road without pausing, but everyone knows what's at stake. At the school, children rehearse answers. No Jews live here, of course, only neighbors, only friends. Laundry women exchange information with each delivered basket. 2 more are coming tonight. At dusk, refugees huddle in barns, shivering, ankles peeking from beneath hay bales, afraid to sleep but too tired to resist. And yet, hope persists. On Sundays, the villagers kneel together while outside, frost forms on the window glass. We have decided, Trocmier instructs, that if danger comes, we shall resist without arms, but with the weapon of the Spirit. His message carries through picket fences and fog, from the pulpit to every hearth. That winter, the number of hidden grows, Jewish orphans, entire families, communist resistors, downed Allied aviators. Mattresses are dragged from attics to cellars. Barns become classrooms by day, hideouts by night. In February, as snow falls, Magda comforts a new arrival who cries for her mother, lost somewhere in the maze of occupied France. With every new name added to the secret list, the village's vow deepens. No one will ask who you were before, only who you are willing to become. The story of Chambon does not begin in thunder or blood, but in silent gestures: a cup of milk, a forged birth certificate, a barn left unlocked, a prayer whispered for strangers. Here, at the edge of Europe's darkness, ordinary men and women choose dangerous mercy, learning, step by quiet step, how to become a sanctuary. Winter deepens across the Haute-Loire, blanketing fields and forests in thick snow. Each flake muffles sound, shrouding danger and solidarity alike. The village's resistance now ripples outward. What began with a handful of sheltering families has become an intricate, invisible web. It is 1941, and each house and farm becomes a node in a clandestine network sustained by wordless trust. Pastor Trocmier convenes trusted elders in an unheated barn, breath hanging in the frosty air, pages of birth records spread across a feed barrel. We will need 20 new names this month, he says, voice barely above a whisper. And safe passage past the gendarme patrol at the bridge. The schoolmaster, Edouard Tice, creates a roster of children whose identities have shifted. Jacques becomes Jean-Pierre, Leah becomes Lucy. Teachers drill the children. If you are stopped, answer to your new name. Never reveal how you came here. Outside, a shepherd leads 3 strangers through snow-laden woods under cover of darkness, each carrying only bread, a bottle of water, and forged papers sewn into coat linings. On New Year's Eve, while most villages across France celebrate quietly, Le Chambon's residents pass signals from house to house. A candle in a window, a blue scarf hung from a fence post. Each sign marks places where newcomers can rest, warm up, and hide until the next move. Inside the crowded village schoolroom, lessons blend math, scripture, and silent drills. Who are you? The teacher asks. I am Pierre. I was born here, answers the new arrival, his accent carefully practiced. Blankets are distributed, pocket sewn with emergency coins. Older students serve as lookouts, alerting adults to sudden changes. When a police car appears on the snowy lane, a child rings the church bell, and everyone vanishes into agreed-upon hiding places. The village pharmacy doubles as an underground workshop. Family friends from Lyons slip in and out, delivering envelopes full of blank ration cards and counterfeit birth certificates. Madame Roche, the baker, lets loaves go stale in the oven as cover for her secret. She hides notes for Parisian resistance contacts inside straw baskets full of bread. Even outside Le Chambon, the circle widens. Farmers on the outskirts shelter fugitives in shepherds' huts far beyond the reach of the Vichy police. Local gendarmes at great risk slip warnings to Trocme. A search is planned for morning lie low. British Quaker aid workers arrive with woolen blankets and canned food, turning their guest rooms into hiding places for children smuggled over the Swiss border. Every act of courage depends on silence. Townspeople greet patrols at checkpoints with the same weary smiles, repeating plausible lies about visitors and guests. But beneath the routines, hearts pound at every engine noise in the night, every knock at the door. When another transport arrives, 5 children with gaunt faces from Paris, their Jewish identity papers burned, Magda Trocme and the elders gather again. There is always room for one more, she insists. By spring, dozens are living under assumed names. Each meal, each blanket, each forged line on a birth record is an act of rebellion, each lie a lifeline in a world where survival depends on secrecy, speed, and unwavering trust in neighbors. February 1943. The air in Le Chambon is razor-sharp, turning each breath into white vapor. A distant engine rumbles over frosted cobblestones. Villagers peer from behind lace curtains as black-booted police and Nazi officers spill from trucks, guns raised, barking commands. The morning raid is methodical, ruthless. Purges sweep through every barn, attic, cellar. School children huddle in the toilets, covering their mouths. Parents stuff ration cards, names lists, and birth certificates between floorboards. Authorities bang on farmhouse doors, demanding know. Where are the Jews? Inside the church, Pastor Trocme stands beside the altar, flanked by elders. When the officers demand names, papers, acknowledgments, he answers, there are no Jews here. Only people. He refuses to sign declarations of loyalty. The threat of arrest is real. Magda, heart-pounding, comforts a mother whose daughter was taken in the night. A local farmer digs a new pit in the forest, hiding blankets and food for the next to arrive. As the convoy of police departs, clouds gathering for snow, silence settles over Le Chambon. Within the hour, the villagers begin to repair, to rewrite, to resume. Walls damaged in the search are patched, hiding places rebuilt better than before. The school opens in the afternoon as usual. Children exchange glances but say nothing, lessons resuming as if nothing happened. The resistance intensifies. Allies from the Swiss Red Cross and Quaker networks step up their support, ferrying new refugees from Lyon and Paris. Shepherd boys now double as couriers, relaying code messages, 1 whistle for danger, 2 short whistles to say the path is clear. A mother from Alsace, starving and ill, is carried up icy switchbacks by 2 villagers guiding her to safe barn. Police raids grow more frequent, and some are lost, arrested, deported, never to be seen again. Each name whispered at Sunday prayers is a memory and a warning. Yet the resolve never falters. If they ask again, we will answer the same. February ends in heavy snow. By month's turn, the number of hidden exceeds 200. Children singing under false names, elders baking extra loaves, teachers erasing and rewriting ledgers long into night. In the face of terror, the village's answer is constant, deliberate kindness, a rebellion not of guns, but of every heart refusing to betray hope. Spring brings a faint thaw, but with it, fresh uncertainty. German orders intensify, and the danger grows. Each day, the number of missing from nearby villages rises, and the roads leading into Chambon are watched more closely than ever. Risk and ingenuity escalate together. Magda Trochmy organizes mothers into makeshift kitchens, producing illicit ration meals for dozens hiding in barns and under floorboards. Every chunk of bread, every bowl of lentil soup is calculated both for nourishment and silence. Pastor André Trochmy travels further afield, establishing contact with resistance cells in Saint-Étienne and Valence. Piece together radio sets in attics catch BBC updates, and the villages hidden are counted nightly, numbers whispered from farm to farm by flashlight. At the heart of the village, the school becomes a cloak for salvation. New teachers arrive from Lyon, their real names used only inside the staff room. In the classroom, children from Antwerp, Paris, Vienna, and Warsaw study side by side, crafting paper swans, reciting village poems, reading from battered French Bibles. Each lesson is a rehearsal for deceit. Teachers drill sums, dates of birth, regional accents. What is your name? Where were you born? Say it again and again. Outside, guards periodically stop students heading home from lessons. Papers, please. But every child has a story. Every face is ready, every answer well-worn. Other villagers become improvisational actors. Jacques and his father build new false walls in old barns, making crawl spaces in haylofts and behind stacks of pumpkins. The local blacksmith forges nails and hinges by day, but at night, with trusted neighbors, he crafts secret locks and keys for hidden trapdoors. The local police captain, risking everything, tips off the pastor each time an inspection is planned. A coded postcard, "The weather tomorrow will be stormy," means that by midnight, everyone must change locations. The pressure is relentless. Twice in April, neighbors are taken away. One elderly man shot trying to prevent a cousin's arrest. 2 children vanish after a surprise check at dusk. Yet the flow of seekers grows. Quaker volunteer Elizabeth Bertrand's home is transformed into a hub, bedrolls on every floor, a battered map of Switzerland above her desk, British and Swiss relief parcels arriving by horse cart. She collects stories in a notebook and burns every page after it's used. Rumors swirl. The Germans prepare a larger sweep. The Italians, occupying the southeast, may offer a new route to safety. As Pentecost nears, Chambon's people gather among wildflowers on the forest's edge, celebrating the holiday as both worship and memory. The congregation holds hands, a ring of French, Polish, and Belgian voices, united by determination as well as faith. Pastor Trochmy speaks simply, "No government, no order, no law can dictate the human heart when it is guided by true compassion." That night, concealed fires flicker under iron pots, infant shoes are hidden in rafters, and the network, unbroken by loss, renewed by each story of rescue or mourning, commits yet again to saving any who come, no matter the threat or sorrow that shadows their doors. Summer arrives, and with it, new waves of refugees. Word spreads throughout southern France and as far as the Paris ghetto. In Chambon, they will never ask what's written on your papers. A battered bus from Marseille delivers 12 more children on the second week of June. Each time one arrives, the secret is whispered through the houses. Welcome, don't ask questions, remember your new name. Children memorize invented birthdays, practice reciting catechism, and learn to blend into village rhythms, feeding chickens, fetching water, grinding grain. At dusk, the meadows fill with clandestine activity. Men and women build false floors in haylofts, shuffle mattress piles, dig fresh earth into garden plots over new hiding spaces. Some refugees, bolder than others, join the villagers on evening walks, grasping at the taste of freedom. Trochmy, never without scripture or a walking stick, reassures both guests and hosts. Our own fears must never shape our mercy. The Swiss Red Cross and Quaker volunteers coordinate new escape lines. At night, groups of fugitives, guided by teenage shepherds or a sympathetic priest, make their way along ancient trails toward the border. On stormy nights, their footsteps are erased by wind and rain. Elizabeth Bertrand helps lead a group of 6 over the Col de la Croix-Morand on Bastille Day, crossing into the neutral zone right under German patrols' noses. Each crossing is a rush of relief, immediately followed by fresh anxiety. Every group that escapes brings new arrivals, new mouths to feed, new secrets to guard. Inside the church, summer weddings and funerals are overshadowed by coded gatherings. The sound of a hymn signals the coast is clear. The interruption of a particular verse means a stranger is in the nave. A white scarf at the pulpit means go, do not linger. In the bakery, Madame Roche slips handwritten maps and food ration chits into loaves delivered with a smile. The town's 3 seamstresses become key forgers, their singer machines whirring late into the night as they stitch both clothing and false documents. But even amid tension, moments of joy endure. Refugee children swim in the stream with local boys, villagers share wild strawberries, laughter rises around lanterns despite rationing. When a safe crossing succeeds, the bell tower rings twice at dawn, one peal for a soul delivered, another for those left to save. The fabric of Le Chambon weaves itself tighter with every meal, every prayer, every secret delivered by moonlight. August. The heat clings to the mountains, but the work of rescue never slackens. The village is now infamous. Rumors swirl in occupied France. The police and Germans call it Le Nid de Vipers, the viper's nest, but for thousands it is the last spark of hope. Patrols come more often, and the punishments for discovered fugitives now include deportation for hosts as well as guests. Despite the threat, no one in Le Chambon breaks. Instead, the villagers strengthen their code of silence. Each meal is a silent coordination, extra loaves of bread left near the mill, baskets of fresh potatoes traded in the schoolyard, all distributed without a word. Quakers and Protestants share supplies, rear out arrivals, and keep careful records in code, which are burned every week. Summer nights bring more escapes, families packed into covered wagons, guided by trusted boys across ravines and goat paths. Sometimes escapees make it all the way to Geneva. Sometimes a patrol finds them near the border, and they vanish forever. Inside the parsonage, Magda soothes a feverish boy, singing softly in half-remembered Yiddish, blending lullabies of exile and refuge. Pastor Trachmy types out new letters to parishioners. Be courageous. Help one another in all things. Fear is real, but it must not rule us. He encourages his flock to turn away not only police, but suspicion and bitterness as well. He meets with Catholic priests and Jewish rabbis in hidden corners of the forest, building an alliance that stretches far beyond the plateau. The village children take on more dangerous work. Some carry coded messages in berry baskets to farms miles away, while older boys assist resistance couriers and forge new Swiss travel certificates with scavenged ink. Danger sharpens. One friend is arrested attempting to cross the border, another is killed in a skirmish resisting police. Each loss is met with silence and a new vow: never betray, never forget. By summer's end, nearly 5,000 have passed through Le Chambon, hidden if only for a night, their names already fading into legend. The villagers' courage does not feel like heroism but endurance, a daily discipline that weaves hope, fear, loss, and faith into every loaf baked, every path guided, every heart that chooses shelter over safety. September dawn comes late to the plateau. The fields, once golden and alive with grain, now send up only puffs of dust as villagers hurry between houses. The war outside encroaches. News of mass deportations in Paris and Lyon seeps in through BBC broadcasts and rumor, tightening the air. Yet in Le Chambon, daily defiance continues undiminished, coded in every harvest, every baking day, every act of shared survival. Elizabeth Bertrand keeps meticulous count. Another 20 children rescued this week, 5 elders less fortunate, taken in a night raid near St. Agreve. Village council meetings moved to the caves, lit by lantern-swung shadows. Here, Protestant pastors debate a bold plan, arrange passage through the Italian zone, now less harsh for a dozen Jewish families. The risk is enormous, but so is the need. Scout parties are sent out. Older boys in patch boots who know every ravine, every past landslide path. They chart routes to safe houses hidden behind stone walls and across rivers swollen by autumn floods. By the schoolhouse, lessons shift to French history, past wars of faith, stories of Calvinist resistance. Children, their real surnames whispered only in the dark, sign their new names in chalk on the board. One shy girl writes Marie DuPont, hand shaking, then presses her eyes to the window, watching for anything out of place. On a rainy Thursday, a stranger, thin, soot-streaked, shoes worn nearly empty, arrives at Magda Trachmia's kitchen door. He brings news from the Toulouse underground, new networks, lost friends. He is given bread, a place by the stove, and silence. At dusk, a gendarme circulates in the square. He greets the pastor only in passing, but that evening a private note arrives. Tomorrow, stay away from the main road. Armed with this warning, villagers remove all evidence. Flour sacks with unfamiliar names, false papers, ration books hidden behind the altar. After the police are gone, the town gathers for a night vigil. Candles glow on every porch and children sing, their words half prayer, half promise. For each new arrival, the answer is the same. A bed, a meal, a name that cannot be spoken outside but will never be forgotten within. By the end of September, streams of refugees wind down muddy lanes with the first hints of cold in their breath. Their hope renewed by the sanctuary the village quietly refuses to surrender. October brings both bounty and threat. Chestnut trees drop fruit that villagers roast in their stoves, but patrols become more frequent. Checkpoints sprout on every approach to the plateau. The population of Hidden has swelled, dozens in every barn, cellars crowded with straw mattresses, some families now sheltering strangers for months as the roads become too perilous for further passage. The pressure sometimes snaps. One night, a frightened guest, a Polish tailor from Lodz, almost shouts a warning as headlights slash beneath the barn door. Quick hands silence him, and the group waits in darkness as soldiers outside smoke and argue, finally moving on. Later, in the stillness, the oldest woman in the group weeps. A local boy brings her a cup of milk without a word. Among villagers, debate grows fierce over the strain. Ration cards can't stretch far enough, and yet no one dares refuse. The Quaker canteen in the village square becomes a place not just for food, but for quiet encouragement and crisis. Here, Magda and a Swiss nurse patch up a broken wrist, treat a baby's cough, offer prayers, or brief silence. When an escaped Czech rabbi arrives, he leads a Sabbath service in the attic, chanting softly as children clutch one another close, learning unfamiliar words of comfort and remembrance. In another home, a Catholic priest and a Protestant pastor plot a new escape route via an abandoned mine. The Germans, suspicious, increase interrogations, especially of teenagers who linger too long after school. Some students are arrested for having incorrect papers, and more than one teacher risks arrest by swearing, "This is my cousin, not a stranger." But even as fear tightens, so too do acts of solidarity. When a house is searched, neighbors swiftly shuttle hidden guests to second and third locations, passing coded messages, "Rose bushes need pruning" for safe transfer. At dawn, when another infant is born in hiding, the news is quietly celebrated. Hope endures in each new life. By month's end, the network is more intricate and more fragile than ever. Winter returns, harsher than before. Snow buries the village for weeks, drifts reaching the lower windows, supply routes shut with each storm. Isolation works both ways, blocking pursuit for refugees, but also straining every resource. Children trapped in barns draw pictures by candlelight, older ones help with rationing, learning to cut bread so every slice is equal. In Early December, a major raid is planned. The signal reaches the village just in time. A Quaker messenger arrives breathless, warning Pastor Trachmy and his council at the bakery. Gone are the days of safe transfer to Switzerland for all. Now, many must ride out, each search hidden under floorboards or in root cellars. The council organizes in minutes. Farmers move small groups into a network of ice-cold underground spaces, teachers cancel lessons and disappear, bakers store precious food in secret wall compartments. Gendarmes and several sympathetic villagers coordinate to stall the Nazis, arguing over faulty bridge repairs and road closures until the worst passes. In a single night, 20 new arrivals are integrated. An artist and his family from Nice, for children from Bordeaux, a partially paralyzed grandmother carried in a wheelbarrow by 2 high school students. Of the dozens searched for that day, not one is discovered. Still, loss cannot be fully escaped. A local guide disappears after leading a family along a back route. The following Sunday, 1,000 gather for open-air worship, snow falling silently, all heads bowed, the pastor's prayer rising as a promise. What we do for freedom and for memory. The war itself seems endless, but so does the commitment to mercy. Each cold meal, each song sung quietly in hiding, each young hand buried in frozen grain reminds the village that their struggle is not just for survival. It is for a world where children are free to speak their names and tell their truth, unafraid, beneath an ordinary sky. Spring 1944. Hope flickers, but the old fears remain. By now, the reputation of Lou Chambon echoes as far as Geneva and Algiers. Children rescued here reappear under new names from Switzerland to North Africa. Pastor Trachmy receives coded letters in the mail, former villagers writing from freedom, bearing silent thanks, and sometimes painful news, the loss of a parent, the liberation of a friend. The Allies move closer every week, their radio updates spoken in hurried whispers. Still, raids and surveillance are relentless, and new arrivals continue. The network must improvise again. On the plateau, the school expands into a larger safe house, attic beds crammed close, food stretched thin, but somehow sufficient. Old men teach Bible verses beside young women forging new Swiss and Spanish documents at the table. The town pharmacist partners with Quaker nurses, organizing secret shipments of vitamin tablets and antibiotics for sickly fugitives. Each morning, chores blend with cover stories, children fetch water from the stream, villagers walk lost tourists through scattered fields. One Friday, a critically ill baby arrives. The doctor and Magda work through the night, rationing every supply. Candles drip wax on borrowed blankets as villagers pray in the chilly dark. The child survives, a silent testament to care in defiance of peril. Gestapo pressure intensifies. A new team questions tradesmen, interrogates teachers, demands lists. The council burns ledgers again, shuffles names, writes new baptismal certificates for another wave. Each act is a race against time and discovery. The Allies land in Normandy. The church bell rings twice. One note for hope renewed, another for those still missing. Townspeople listen to BBC bulletins, mark maps, and prepare yet more hiding places. Just weeks later, gendarmes secretly tip off a network shepherd. Tonight, no one sleeps at home. Some hide in crypts or forest caves. Others take to the icy streams with only bread and hope in their satchels. Amid these trials, Lou Chambon's ritual remains. Weekly prayers sung in a dozen tongues, candles on windowsills, letters written but never sent. The community endures as lines between guest and host, neighbor and fugitive blur until all are one. By spring's end, hundreds more have passed through, and even as D-Day draws near, the village's answer remains steady. When in doubt, hide, help, repeat until danger passes. July brings liberation whispers and sudden violence. Rumors race ahead of facts. German defeat at Normandy, the resistance active in nearby valleys, yet extra patrols sweep the region, intent on retribution. On a bleak evening, a local smuggler, Pierre, brings a train of Jewish children from a bombed-out ghetto. His battered truck arrives limping, headlights flickering. The children are silent, blinking in the new dusk, as Pierre hands Magda Trachmy a battered photograph of a girl lost at Lyon Station. This night, every corner of the village is pressed into service. Cellars, haylofts, a cousin's attic, the abandoned boiler room at the school. Gestapo agents sweep the area for Pierre, but the villagers split his group, sending children one by one to new quarters. Some get new clothes, a red scarf, a sun-bleached shirt, to blend in with the local summer. Pastor Trachmy's sermons intensify. True resistance is refusal to let brutality name the terms of our life. Food runs low. The bakery codes deliveries by flower patterns on each loaf. A cluster of dots means wait for nightfall. A cross means all clear. The Quaker nurse delivers aspirin and potato soup to a grandmother who has not spoken since her son vanished last month. Children celebrate a secret birthday by the stream, counting candles lit in cupped hands. A local farm girl teaches a new friend how to weave wildflowers into a basket for hiding documents. The older children plot escape routes, upperclassmen serving as guides to the Swiss border even as fresh patrols threaten arrest. In mid-July, the village suffers its last large-scale raid. The pastor is questioned, threatened, but still refuses every betrayal. Finally, one warm dawn brings word. The Germans have retreated. The church bell rings until it echoes off every hill. Tears flow for those who are gone, laughter and reunion for the few who return. Under a sky lit by sunrise, families emerge from hiding and the true count is tallied. Thousands shepherded through by a town that never asked who they were, only what they needed. August 1944. Liberation is almost complete. Lou Chambon breathes. Though scarred, it remains unbroken. Word spreads. 5,000 have passed through, shepherded, hidden, guided to new names and safer countries. Survivors return, sometimes bearing children who know only the mountain and the kindness of strangers. Pastor Trachmy holds one last council under the ancient firs, blessing those who remained and honoring the lost with hymns sung in French, German, Yiddish, and Polish. Magda kisses every child goodbye as they board trains to Paris, Marseilles, or Geneva, free, but changed. The Quaker nurse opens her guest book, reading every name she dared to keep. Some crossed out, some circled, many never seen again. The village school reopens, children speaking freely, ledgers written in true names. Teachers erase the last false entries and set chalk aside. The bakery keeps up with demand as old bread lines transform into lines of celebration. Lou Chambon is celebrated but never boasts. When journalists come from America, Switzerland, and Paris, the villagers speak quietly. We did what conscience asked. Memorials are planned, a stone plaque beside the church, a grove of trees at the edge of the plateau. At the final open-air service, Pastor Trachmy stands with survivors and descendants, sunlight dancing through leaves. We are not heroes, he says, only neighbors who remembered that hope matters even when it hides. As the crowd disperses, families walk home along muddy lanes. At the village square, carved into stone, are the names of both the lost and the saved, a community's record of faith, defiance, endurance. The sky, clear and ordinary, welcomes them, no longer haunted by silence, but sheltering memory. Autumn fades, and with it come the testament and reckoning. Lou Chambon, now etched into the memories of thousands, grows quiet as families depart, seeking lost relatives or starting life anew in lands of uncertain peace. The village restores what was erased, school records restored, the true names of refugees whispered only at reunions. The church removes false census ledgers, replacing each erased identity with a blessing at the Sunday service. Magda Trachmy collects leftover ration coupons and used false papers and the weathered clothes that shielded so many. She cleans the guest room one final time, its straw mattress flattened by hundreds, the quilt faded by sunlight and fear. Travelers come, notebooks in hand, asking for numbers, for stories, for statistics. The villagers reply, as before, not with grand tales, but with memories of cold December nights, of bread delivered in secrecy, of songs sung in lullabies. "We only did," says Madame Roche, "what conscience required." Some refrain from speaking. Scars of loss remain visible as every year on the anniversary of liberation, candles line the windows once more. The children who passed through now live in Montreal, New York, Tel Aviv, Paris. Some send letters, others never write. Rescue is only the beginning, not the end. The town's young people, shaped by experience, leave for Lyon, pursue studies or work in Swiss hospitals, but they carry Luc Chambon's code. To act first in mercy, to doubt only the voice that suggests silence would be easiest. In the square, the old bakery stands beside the memorial plaque, a gathering place still. Elderly villagers walk slowly past, pausing for a moment at the stone engraved with the lost. Pastor Trocmier's final address is brief. Let this place remain a lamp to anyone wandering in darkness. Each year, the names of the hidden and the saviors are read aloud, no longer a code, but a testimony. The mountain winds carry the sound through forests now golden with autumn leaves, the world's silence broken at last by remembrance, by gratitude, by the unbroken chain of small acts that together pushed back against the worst darkness of the war. Years later, Luc Chambon's legacy continues, quietly through generations. After the war, some survivors come back to visit, searching for the place where secret names saved their life. Descendants arrive from across Europe and America, sharing faded photographs and stories half believed by their children. The village itself moves on, students return to school, the bakery delivers bread for new celebrations, and the church welcomes both old families and new arrivals escaping hardship or persecution of a different kind. The Quaker nurse's guest book becomes an archive, pages fragile but filled with signatures, some just initials, many with tiny drawings. The world's press writes stories, documentaries are filmed, historians gather files. But none capture the daily rhythm as it truly was. Only the memories in the hearts of those who remained, and those who passed through retain the grainy texture of caution and hope. On All Saints' Day, the entire village gathers once again at the edge of the forest, under trees now tall enough to shade a second generation. They plant a new row of saplings near the memorial grove, children tying ribbons in the branches. Pastor Trocmier's granddaughter reads from her grandfather's notes. Shelter was not only about hiding bodies, but about making room in our lives and homes for any who needed us. Even as houses are rebuilt or modernized, the old stones remember hands that plastered hidden alcoves and reinforced loose floorboards. The children of Luc Chambon, now adults, carry the stories inside, teaching their own children a code. To answer every knock with hospitality before suspicion. As dusk settles, candles are placed not only for former guests, but for every soul in the world now searching for home, for welcome, for hope without conditions. The night is quiet, the air full of possibility, the world left a little safer for remembrance. Discover the extraordinary true story of Luc Chambon-sur-Lignon, a remote mountain village in Nazi-occupied France whose entire community risked everything to save over 5,000 Jews from deportation and death during World War II. Guided by the conscience of Pastor André Trocmier, by the unyielding solidarity of ordinary villagers, and by a network of silent courage, Luc Chambon turned mercy into daily rebellion against tyranny. Their legacy endures in every life saved, every name remembered, and every act of ordinary kindness that quietly changed the course of history. If this story moved you, subscribe to our channel for more untold histories of World War II resistance, courage, and compassion. Like this video, share your thoughts or memories in the comments, and don't miss our upcoming documentaries on hidden heroes and communities that defied hatred.